Hey everybody, it's Julie. Welcome to Hello Monday. This week in the studio, I'm making this adorable birthday card, and I absolutely love that sentiment by Savvy Stamps. And I'm also using their very large cupcake die, and I'm going to be die cutting out of my favorite smooth Bristol paper. I love this paper for watercolor, and that's what I'm going to be doing next. So I'm glad I thought ahead to use this paper. And those are ejection holes. A lot of times people think those are a flaw in the die's design, but it's actually designed for you to use a pin to poke through the holes to get the paper out. So that's what those ejection holes are for. And I'm going to be working with Ranger's Adirondack water-based dye inks. I love using these inks for watercolor work. This is probably my favorite watercolor method. And I just tap it against an acrylic block and then load up my water brush with color. And Mountain Rose gives a really nice blush pink color for the frosting. And then I'm also going to use pitch black to do the detail lines. And looks like I got my water brush a little bit too wet, squeezed it too hard. That's what happens. And so I'm just going to daub up some of that water there on a paper towel, and then I can go ahead and start doing the detail lines. And this die, the cupcake liner, has some detail lines already built into it, so it's kind of a nice little guide there for you. So I'm just going to quickly highlight those with the pitch black and then set those aside to dry. And I'm using white linen as my card base. I absolutely love this paper. It's got a great linen weave texture on the surface, and it still stamps nicely. The weight is 100 pounds, so it's just a really great weight for card making. And of course, we all know how much I love a plain white card. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and detail the edges there because I don't want to do a lot of matting and layering on this. And I'm going to mask it off because you know what's coming next. I'm going to be using Mr. Huey's to do some splattering very quickly. So I'm just going to mask that off and then get out my trusty cardboard box so I keep myself clean. I do have a full body apron on too, just in case. Sometimes I get a little crazy there with Mr. Huey. And I'm going to tap off the excess there inside that nozzle, and then I'm just going to give it one flick. I got quite a good spattering right there with one flick, so I was hesitant to do any more. So I figured, just leave it alone, go with it. And then I'm going to take that sentiment. It's called Have Your Cupcake and Eat It Too, and I think it's so perfect for this. So I bobbled it there on the first try. I'm using a Hero Arts Unicorn white ink. I really love this ink on black cardstock. And then I'm just going to heat set so I can keep on moving. I didn't like the first impression because I kind of bobbled it up there in the upper left corner because I wasn't very steady. So we'll just heat set that second impression, and then I'm just going to go ahead and trim it out using my tonic guillotine trimmer. And then I wanted to make a little banner, so I'm going to use a little trick I learned from my friend Sherry Carroll, and she marks the center point. I have to put a center point there because if I try to eyeball it, I start trimming a little bit on the left and a little more on the right, and then pretty soon I got nothing but nubs. Does that happen to you? So I need a little bit of a pencil mark to guide me. And then I'm going to go ahead and mount just the top part of that banner to my card front. I wanted to have the bottom portion of it free so that I could actually curl up the edges for a little bit of added interest. So then we're going to flush mount the cupcake liner to the card front, and then I can go ahead and add some foam adhesive to the frosting part, and we will go ahead and 3D mount that very quickly to the top. I just think that adds a little bit of interest, and it kind of helps keeping things dimensional but not getting overly bulky. And then I will add a little bit of glossy accents. This is my favorite adhesive for my little sequins, and I'm using that little pick stick, what is it called? Quick stick, I think. Anyway, I can never get a hold of those sequins when they're down in my bowl, so this kind of helps me get a hold of them. And then I can grab them with my tweezers and get them onto my little drops of glossy accent. And then I did want to take one of those and pop it up, and I couldn't find my Cool Tack clear foam. It's buried somewhere on my desk. So I just grabbed a glue dot and I cut it down. This was a craft size glue dot because I couldn't find my mini glue dots either. The desk is kind of a mess. You can't see that, but and I just balled that up and used that to 3D mount that other sequin. And I'm probably going to add a few more. I think those 3 look kind of lonely. So let's add a couple more. And then as one last finishing touch, I'm going to take a little bit of this gold cord. I love this cord because it adds such a nice, elegant accent to my cards. And I'm going to go ahead and coil that around. I've seen people do this fun little embellishment trick where they take the metallic threads, and I didn't have any of that on hand. So I'm just going to use this cord and wrap that around. And then when I'm happy with the loops, I wanted the very kind of a messy look to it because that's what I've seen and I just love the look, wanted to try it. And then I'm just going to take my tiny attacher tool and staple it together, and that'll kind of keep it anchored so I can continue to work with it. And then I'm going to make a glue dot sandwich. I tried glossy accents initially and it really didn't work. It wasn't the right kind of adhesive to hold this in place. So now I'm just going to take some glue dots and make a little sandwich on the back side and the front side of where that staple is, where my anchor is. And then I can go ahead and peel the liners off, and then I'm just going to slip that right under my banner there for a little bit of added glam to go with the little gold sequins and tie the whole look together. Just futz around with it a little bit. I just think it's a fun look and I'm fascinated with that. I'm going to have to get me some of that metallic thread, I think. There's my sequins. I think this card turned out so darling. Have your cupcake and eat it too. Thanks for watching.